Hello and welcome to the European Racing Series GT3 Championship for the opening round here at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most iconic, pivotal circuits in world motorsport, with just down as you can see to the left of the camera, Eau Rouge, taking you through the Ardennes, up and down. It is very much a roller coaster of a circuit, and our drivers today will be contending with this track situated in the middle of the beautiful Ardennes forest. We are just coming up to the end of the practice session to move into qualifying. One or two cars still left to complete laps, so we are just waiting on them to come across the line, which is just before that Total Energies banner bridge, whatever we might call it, that you can see on your screen just there. Keep in mind, Spa in the GT layout uses the old pit straight and the old start position, unlike the Formula 1 counterpart, which uses the pit start and the main straight up the top of the hill. Our drivers are now leaving to go into qualification, so we'll see how they go. It is a big train of cars heading out of the pit lane. We are with Mattia Brugnara in the Racing G Club Superhumans Ferrari 488. I believe that's the Evo version, but I can't quite tell from the trackside camera. A big field today as well. We are going to be greeted with 50 cars on circuit, which is quite a lot even for a track such as Spa. While Spa is long, it's not very tight in places, which helps to bring us very good, very close racing. That paired with the GT3 classification of cars, which are subject to balance of performance, means you can get cars such as we see on our screen now, the Ferrari 488 and a BMW M4, all racing on the same circuit. You've got the R8, you've got the Ferrari, you've got the BMW, you've got Honda, you've even got, you know, things like the McLaren, the Porsche, and the Aston Martin, all of which have their own specific strengths and weaknesses, differences in how they handle and how they perform, both track to track, but also driver to driver as well. Finding the best car for the driver is a very fine art. You end up just getting into a car and gelling with it immediately, whereas other cars, you know, some drivers might jump into them and go, I don't mind it, but this is not for me, or I don't mind it, but this is not overly quick. We are going to jump on board with Brugnara as he heads for a lap of the circuit, as he just comes into the final corners of the bus stop chicane. We'll leave him out onto the F1 start-finish line, where we will be ending the race. The start of the race is down the hill, but it is the short run down to La Source. Very tight corner, hard on the brakes, get it down the gears into first. Some cars grab that inside curb better, but sometimes you want to avoid it. You don't want to run out wide, however, because that speed bump, sausage curb, won't do you very well. Then the run down the hill, duck behind the wall as you head into Eau Rouge. Crest of the hill for Radion. Use as much of that curb as possible to get the best line, almost trying to straight line it as much as you can. But it is definitely a very, very hard corner to contest, as then you head down the Kemmel straight into the comp. It's another chicane. First curb, a bit nicer than the second, but you can take both. Then through Malmedy, so right-hander, bit of a bump up as you extend the circuit to get the line out down towards Bruxelles. The hairpin style corner is off camber as well, so it will grab you and try to throw you off the circuit as you head into what was now known as Speaker's Corner. It's a short run down the hill before you get to the double gauche. It feels like one complete corner, but it is actually two left-handers. Quite easy to tap that inside curve you saw on the left and send yourself into a spin as you go towards Le Fond. Another chicane. The curves are a bit higher than you had up at Le Comp, but you can still contend with them as you get the exit onto the curves as well. then through into Campus, and then immediately after, more or less, you get Stavolo with the building, the house on the left-hand side. As then you get onto the long back straight. The only real thing to note through here is not this slight left-hander, this one at Blanchimont. It is flat in some cars, some drivers need to lift. All depends on dedication as you then run back to the bus stop chicane to round off a lap of the historic and I would say universally loved Circuit Spa-Francorchamps. It has got to be one of my top circuits on the planet. There is just something about it that gives you such joy and such pleasure in driving it. It's one of those tracks where there are corners that look easy but can take you very much by surprise, as Brognara's lap sets him 5th at the current moment in time. However, the BMW, the number 12 car of Apostol, has taken provisional pole position with the lap of a 2:16.4 in the BMW M4, a car that is quite front heavy, so it can eat curbs from what I have heard quite a bit easier than its rear and mid-engined counterparts. So we will see what happens, as I think Sebastian has gone to abort his lap, which yes, he has indeed. We'll have a look around the grid as we're currently with Catricala in the number 60 Racing G La Soluzione Ferrari in a quite striking black and white livery. But you can just see under the rear wing the Italian flag, you know, the prancing horses, absolute staple of Italy. As he heads through Bruxelles, 1/10 to catch Sebastian up ahead. We'll jump on board. Just watch the steering inputs and watch the pedals as well as he heads down to the double gauge. 5th gear on the curb, onto the brakes, lift. You can then hear the power, then all the power back through the second half of the double gauge to get yourself the best exit and the best run down to Lafange. You're just making sure that everywhere you take as much of the circuit and as much of the track and the speed that is available to you. But with the looks of it, Catricala will be making it onto provisional pole with 8 minutes of this session to go. The track temperature only at a nice 23 degrees Celsius, which isn't that high really. Drivers will have to modify their tyre pressures accordingly. They may be struggling for higher temperatures. I see a few cars having problems through the bus stop chicane, and Audi gone. And that actually did impact Catricala's lap. Something drastic. He was 3 temps up on his personal best. And then he got held up in the chaos and the carnage, which looked like it was an Audi had just hit the curb. As in the background there we see one of the Hondas go absolutely mental. He was stuck there. I think it was Danilo Magni had to take avoiding action, went round to the outside. I don't see any damage on the BMW M4, the Hamona Cafe Racing G car, which would be some very, very good avoidance, as Perez has pulled over as well. A few cars have pulled over, in fact. Have a look. Here is your driver who is currently on provisional pole, going to start off another lap. A 2:16.4 is indeed the time to be, as you can just see how planted that BMW looks as it goes into a Rouge through the compression and then back up through Raidillon. You can see it just looks absolutely solid all the way through. The question will be, will Apostol be able to improve this lap time? That car can take a lot more curb, so there may just be a few millimeters, maybe a centimeter or two in places that can be taken. Also keep in mind, in GT regs, you see the white lines on the track at the majority of corners. that actually extends out to the end of the curb as well, so drivers will be able to run the car over those curbs, but maybe not that far. Driver who is on a very, very big set of improvement is Jason Kellaway, the number 23 car. The Aston Martin V8, I believe that is, heads through the bus stop chicane, over the curb again. A little bit of brake actually through the apex. I'm not sure I've seen that much before. But across the line, goes up into 9th, 217.2. That is a lot quicker than anything I've ever been able to string together, I can tell you. Another driver who's looking on the improvement as well is Luke Rogers for Butterpower Motorsport in the Audi R8 LMS Evo 2. I know that one. As we get on board, you can just hear that V10 German engine just trying to get the power down even more. His best time currently at 218.2. So it looks like Beamer there just up ahead, having a few bits of trouble, a little bit of strife. Now we get to see the speed of the Audi R8. It did actually get nerfed recently, but it is still a very, very, very strong car in a straight line. It is a car that I typically go towards, and I can attest to its straight line speed, especially when you're in the draft as well. Problem is, I've found it can also give a considerable draft advantage to any cars that are lower down than it on the back as well. But across the line, let's see, where will Rogers improve to? Goes up to 14th. That was a very, very good lap. At least in my standards it was. It's about a second, maybe 1.2-ish off of the lead time. But a driver who is still searching for the improvement after having it stripped from him. The last flying lap that we saw round is Catricala, the La Soluzione Racing G car. It's through Speaker's Corner. How much does he extend out? You can see he just runs that in that outside curb with the left-hand tyres, which is in limits as well. But with 3 minutes and 45-ish seconds remaining on the clock, time is running out. Especially keep in mind as it is around a 2-minute, high-teen 2-minute lap time around the circuit. You will end up having to go out quick to get your slow lap done when you leave the track. Longest pit lane in the calendar for the Real World GT World Challenge, and I believe also on the calendar for ERS this season. That can cost you absolutely bags of time. As we see, running as much as he can towards the final corner. This is where the problems happened last time for Catricala, but it looks like this time he'll now have Petrosini to beat in terms of time. But as he crosses the line, is it enough to go pole? No, it's not. It is a perfect match to the 85 Audi, who then gets taken over again by Apostol in the number 12 BMW. That is what we call a qualifying battle of, I would say, the highest order, really. The driver who has yet to set time is Marco Tascini in the 92 FRS Racing Team Aston Martin. 50 cars on track. I think in my time commentating, that is the highest amount of vehicles around Spa I have seen. It should surely give us some absolutely amazing racing today. A minute and 45 seconds on the clock. It's gonna be close. That is what I will say. It is going to be. Very, very close. May even be just a little bit too close to call. It is the thing I love about GT racing, is the cars are just that close together that you can never really, with 100% certainty anyway, say who is going to come out on top. But it will surely be a race that will keep me absolutely glued to my screen, and I hope it will keep all of you at home watching our drivers contest this historic circuit glued to your screen as well. The first lap will probably be quite difficult as everything sort of fades into its order to run the rest of the race order. And it's normally, at least for me, one of the scariest moments is the opening laps of the race. As, I can't remember who said it now, but I always remember this saying: you can't win a race on the first lap, but you definitely can lose a race, as the qualifying timer will tick down to 0. Drivers who get across the line will be able to have one more crack at a lap, but Jeffrey Ritchie saying no and going with the provisional 4th place at this moment in time. But it looks like Azkas in the number 95 Honda got himself across the line in time. And a few other drivers still out on circuit. As you can see, this is what the track map currently looks like. There are a lot of cars now crossing the line who won't make it. However, there will be quite a few cars, I would say, still on the circuit who have that one more lap to contend with. Second and third are still looking for those 2 tenths that they need to catch up to Apostol, who's currently sitting on the top spot for the start of the race. We're on board with Petrosini, the esports sim racing team, Audi R8. I think just up ahead on track there, you can just about see the livery. Here's Catricala in the number 60 at Lassolzini Racing G car, who has actually invalidated his lap, if my timing tower is anything to go by. So that will mean the driver with everything to gain, which could be 1 position, could be 2, is Petrosini, the car who we are currently on board with. Through Blanchiment, on the curb, as much of it as possible, down to the bus stop chicane. Will they come round and take pole position, or will it be a 2nd place for the Audi R8, or will they even improve at all? Across the line, doesn't improve by mere fractions. But someone that did improve was Barnabas Fazkas, the number 95 Ragioli Racing Honda. Strips Catricala of 2nd place and strips Petrosini of 3rd place as well. Wow. Everything always happens at the end of qualifying. We have seen it many times before. That is honestly something that you can't even really guess that's going to happen. But your qualifying order, taking pole position, is Apostol in the number 12 BMW, followed by Fazkas in the 95 Honda, Catricala in the number 60 Ferrari, followed by Petrosini in the number 85 Audi R8. Ritchie follows next in the 41 Honda, then Battistella in the 96 BMW, Gordais in the 33 Aston Martin, Brugnara in the 29 Ferrari, Perez in the number 112 Porsche, with Kellaway rounding out the top 10 in qualifying in the number 23 Aston Martin. DeMarco in the number 39 BMW was in 11th, followed by Brugnara in 12th in the number 9 Audi, then Patino in the 111 Porsche, and then Weiss in the 271 Lamborghini, Magnani in the 818 BMW, and then Stock in the number 25 Porsche, Svirkov in the 20 Audi, followed by Rogers in the 21 Audi, Gala in the 99 McLaren, and then Paggy in the 93 Mercedes, and then rolling down past P20. So rolling down past E20 is Malini. I mean, just some troubles with. Oh. I'm just having trouble here. Here we go. I think that's fixed my issues. It has not. As I'm just trying to fix some things here for the moment. We get ourselves ready to run the race. Well, the formation lap anyway. It is a full formation lap before we start. Off. As you can see, the cars leaving in the 2x2 order. I'm just going to try one quick fix if you'll give me just a moment. As we have returned, hopefully that fixes the gremlins that I had just encountered. Indeed, it looks like it has. And we are now in to the formation lap, a 1 hour 5-minute race. Sorry about that. I'm sure we will see a lot of action. 1 pit stop required by all drivers. You can see there the orange number 1 beside the name of each driver. That equates to how many pit stops the driver has to make in the race. I believe there is a pit window that opens halfway into the race time, so around 32.5 minutes the timer will begin. The timer will start for the pit window, so boxing before that will not give you the required pit stop. Of course, the pit lane is open for drivers who do need to make a stop, be it for lap 1 damage or maybe a puncture. If they start running out into the gravel, I know that can hurt the tyres quite badly. But as we have our eyes glued, you can see the drivers just warming the brakes up as they go quick and slam on the brakes just to warm them up. Here is the driver, though, who will be on the defense from the start of the race. It is the West Competition Racing number 12 car, driven by Sebastian Apostol. And not having to draft down towards Radion and Eau Rouge, then down the Camel Straight to Le Camp, will be rather difficult. I know, I've been in that position before. Having to draft on a track like Spa is very, very handy, especially as we're coming up to the bus stop chicane. We've seen in qualifying that the fact is the bus stop, well, this straight here through Bruxelles down towards the bus stop chicane is pretty much flat. And you'll be running the highest speed that you possibly can get out of your car. But as all of our drivers start lining up in 2x2, remember the start line is not here. They will still have to contend with La Source. The start line is down the hill towards Eau Rouge and Radion. But the race will be ending just there at the top of the hill. We just here at the start at the checkered flag a little bit further down. They'll be starting the race at the midpoint of the hill after La Source, but we'll be ending the race at the top of the hill. You just see all of the cars there coming together as round La Source we go. The speed limit will be set to pit lane as we get ready to go green here for the first race. An hour and 5 minutes on the clock. I'm sure for the drivers, especially if you're in battles, it will be stressful. For us in the booth, hopefully it will go quick as we go green here at Spa-Francorchamps. You can already see the Audi getting a very good getaway, a little bit of side-by-side contact with the Ferrari as they head up the hill. But it does look like we get through very, very well. Some drivers already jostling for position, and as I suggested, Sebastian, already under pressure from the Honda, goes defensive to the inside very early, but you have to have the overlap. In this case, it doesn't matter all too much to just be able to claim the second part of the chicane. You can just see all of the cars in the background. What a sight that is. And it looks like in the background as well, Petrosini made his way past the Ferrari. Indeed, he did. And further back, it's going to be very touchy going around the outside there. It does sometimes work, but you've got to remember you are off camber into Speaker's Corner. We're already seeing many battles occurring, as you normally do on lap 1. DeMarco is looking around. The Porsche in front runs wide. Will he be able to use that speed, or will the Porsche actually get a bit more speed off it? It doesn't look like it, and it looks like he is going to be under pressure as well from Callaway in the back. Manages to hold the inside line, but then will that mean Callaway will get the inside through the second part and maybe the better exit? Indeed it does. You can see that Porsche once again running wide. Maybe a bit of struggle is on board with Jonas Wies trying to get his way around. You can see in the mirror many cars, but is that Lamborghini going to have the straight line speed? Patino there on the rear wing gets his way past the Lamborghini. We're on the back now of Alejandro Perez's Ragioli Racing and number 12 Porsche. The Lamborghini actually being left in the back a little bit down the straight line, which isn't something you really want. Patino, we can just see how many cars go side by side. The Audi on the inside as well. Manages to get his way through. Defends from the cutback by parking it a little bit on the chicane. That is very, very good defensive driving, but it can be relatively risky as well. Just keep in mind, if the person in front is not expecting you to park it on the chicane, you can get a nasty tap on the rear, which does send the car around. I have seen it many, many times, but it looks like Zvirkov is just being jumped on by the Power Motorsport team in its entirety. Two of their cars behind him, one of them ahead, I believe. Maybe they'll be able to start working as a team to get their way past the Audi R8 of Zvirkov. Or will they be going side by side in a battle together, all together? Rogers gets his way past, and it looks like Stock will be under pressure from Paggy behind in the Mercedes, as well as it looked like Rogers just run wide. Indeed he did. That's going to leave him very much open down the inside for Paggy in the Mercedes, who seizes the opportunity, but can he make it stick? Because they will go side by side into Speaker's corner. There is contact. Rogers gets off quite lightly with it, and so too does Paggy. They've lost a bit of time, but that could have been a lot worse. It looked like they came through the angle very well together, so it wasn't going to be that deadly. But really, for the opening laps, it's been calm. Been calm as we see Bogdanovic trying around on Gaguilo, manages to, as Gaguilo hits the sand, gets his way through at Campus and Stavolo. Very, very good driving there to just unsettle the car ahead, make him run a little bit wider, touch the gravel and lose a lot of speed. Gravel is really my worst enemy, as further up we see the battle for, I'm going to say, second place, because the gap to the lead car is about 8 tenths, but the gap between Fazkas down to Richie is only about 7 tenths, just as down the inside there tries Richie on Catricala. Now the question is, who got the better exit out of the source? Whose car has the quickest oomph in a straight line? It looks like Richie did. In fact, makes that move up to 4th place. Makes it very well actually down the inside at the source. It's very tight, but if you smack your car right where it needs to be, you will get the position. So I'm just getting news. Paggy with a 5-second penalty. Look to the outside though. Here comes Catricala. The outside is quite good here, as long as you can make it stick to get the inside of the second part, which just doesn't come off at this time. So Richie retains that 4th position. And Catricala will be chasing the rear bumper of the Honda to just get himself back up to the position that was his. He has dropped down a bit though, I believe, from the start of the race. Looking back, a battle that is occurring. It's Baldini. It looks like Diodati and Clarkson as well up ahead. The bright pink Cota Alforno racing team, Aston Martin. I was about to say Audi. It's not an Audi, it's an Aston Martin. I'm getting my A's mixed up. There's, oh, big contact there. Oh, that is not good. What has happened there, we will see. We're gonna get an instant replay, an action replay of what's happened there. It will be jumping from a little bit further back. We are on with the Honda that was involved in that collision. We'll see, oh, up ahead you can see the BMW gets just slightly collected, brakes, and a small roadblock gets formed, and then it all just sort of tumbles its way down from there. That is not a great situation to be in. It looks like Raggy, who we were following, has gotten quite a lot of damage off of that collision. Yeah, you can see, look how much to the right he's having to hold the wheel. The 75 BMW as well of Carriera also struggling. You can see he's having to essentially full lock to get the car just to gently turn right. It's King as well with some troubles. The Chimera number 19 BMW piloted by the Croatian. It's not the best of situations. It's not where you want to be, and it will mean an extra pit stop that you don't really want to take. But then back to the battle. Baldini has got away with some damage, not much, as Clarkson heads for the pits. I'm not sure how much damage that car has on it. We'll jump on board. Got a little bit, not as much as Raggy, but you don't want to be running any steering damage at all in a race as long as this. And now back to the battles. Weiss is looking all over that rear end of Patino. Will he be able to make down the inside at Monchamon? Yes, he will. Oh, that was touchy there for a minute. Remember, the off-camberness can catch cars by surprise. It can induce a little bit of understeer, which can send you off of the circuit. It makes attacking on the inside a lot easier. Race gets himself very, very loose through the double gorge, and that will give the position back to Patino. So everything he's getting there by getting Patino will now be lost, as once again he has to take Patino once more. That is definitely not what you would have wanted, especially with such a move down the inside, to then just get a little bit of twitchiness into another corner and lose a position you've worked so hard to gain. We'll all know what it's like. We've all been there before, trust me. Well, I'd say we've all been there before. If you've been in sim racing for any length of time, I'm sure you've been in a situation like that, where you are just powerless, and the only thing you can do is to catch the sliders. Very, very, very ambitious look down the inside there from the Lamborghini. Almost looked like Patino left the door open. Thankfully, though, that door I don't think was open, in fact, or it was closing very, very quickly to the corner. But the Lamborghini is looking racy on the back of the Porsche. Have to keep in mind, the more that they battle, the more that they'll slow themselves down. Already, Patino is 3.2 seconds off of Perez, up ahead in the other Porsche. The Plan Racing Team Porsche. Now, the question is, who is quicker in a straight line? Keep in mind, the Lamborghini will have draft. You can see it all over the rear end onto the TV cam. Patino, though, has looked to defend the inside very well, but has he overdone it? He has indeed. Goes through the corner, has to give the position up, but also loses out the position to Svirkov as well. And now will be under pressure by Stock, who looks down the inside. This is where they're... a little tap on the rear end has sent Sebastian Patino round. He rejoins, he's straight back out into traffic. That is not what you would have wanted. As a bit further up here is Samuel Bagnara, the other club superhumans are another Racing G outfit. I think we've seen the Ferrari in that as well, Bagnara. Yes, they're both Bagnara. I think they may either be, I think they're related in some way. Possibly, not too sure. But he is looking all over the rear end of Callaway. Question is, who will come out in front on this battle? The Audi R8, as I said earlier, very quick in a straight line. It did get reined in just a little bit. We'll see. I think he is actually gaining ground to Callaway. Will be within drafting distance of the Aston Martin, but not close enough to try and make a move down the inside. And still got a lot of time left in this race. So I'd say probably for the best. A bit further back, we have the battle for 31st brewing up between Muxar and Gowrie. Muxar in the McLaren, the Aston Martin, driven by Gowrie. There is a Nissan. I think that's, I'm going to guess that's Catalana, the only Nissan on track, probably heading to the pit lane. That, I think, closed off Gowrie's attempt to go down the inside of the bus stop chicane, which it looked like that was what his attempt was going to be. However, I'm not too sure. The question is, who will have the oomph and straight line to get there onto the rear wing of Eric Muxar? I don't think a move's going to come into Eau Rouge already on. No, they keep it nose to tail. That is, I would say, a very, very smart idea. But now, as we head down the Kemmel Straight, it will be the difficult question up onto the helicopter. And the Bentley as well of Clarkson looking very, very, very deadly on the back. Gowrie moves over the inside, maybe to defend, maybe to try and make a move, but it doesn't pull off. Clarkson was there, had to brake a little bit. Not quite sure if that was the intention. However, that is what happened in practice. Now once more. It looks like the McLaren is going to hold its position for now. However, I'm not too sure how long it will be. Both of the cars on the back are looking very racy. Oh, Gowrie there going very, very deep into Speaker's Corner, almost collecting the rear end, and that is going to be Clarkson up into 30th. After that move, now maybe Clarkson could, and I will say could, in very, very big letters, you know, like could make his move up. Because we're now with Ricciardo Paggi. He is on the rear end of Svirkov, battle for 14th. And there is the Honda that we saw in the collision earlier in the fray once more, already being lapped. So that just shows you, A, how long the pit stop is, and B, why you don't want to take any extra than you have to. But I think the damage on that Honda was just too much to bear. It would have been too much for me. The amount of steering of Svirkov, maybe getting a little bit of a door tap there by Paggi. I'm not quite sure why. Not sure if that was indeed contact or not. Maybe just hello, I am here sort of deal. A bit further back, the battle we were watching earlier, Muxa has lost out the position to Gowrie as well, but then look down the inside at the source. Yep, but Gowrie was there. That'll be Mux's upper place. But that will also mean one of the Porsche's upper place. I think that might actually be one of the ones that was caught up in an incident earlier. And further up the grid, number 7, P7, is at Brugnara on Battistella. We will see how they do. They head through the double gorge. You can see, I think that's Gadis behind as well into Lafange. Three cars very different really from each other. The BMW M4, the Ferrari 488 and the Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Just going back to what I was saying earlier, the reason I love GT racing as much as I do is because you can have such different cars all together. And the strength in the cars comes from just how you drive them. As Brugnara goes very wide, could it maybe be a look down the inside at the bus stop chicane? Well, it will be a look down the inside. The question is who will come out. Bit of a door bang. The BMW takes to the infield, to the inside. That, I would say, was a very, very smart move. The door was closing very rapidly and the angle was very, very tight. I'd say that was a very, very smart move there by Battistella, just to try and keep the car safe and not go into the rear quarter of Brugnara, but that will lose him the position. Maybe they will be side by side down the old start finish straight. Well, I say side by side, wheel to wheel. They will be side by side into Eau Rouge. This is terrifying. Oh, big crash there for Battistella. What happened there? We will get the look on the inside. Just watch the steering inputs as they head down. They are side by side. What happens on the steering? Hits the inside curb. The car just goes under him and bang. Big, big impact there for the BMW, and I'm sure that is not what he would have wanted. It looked like the car just let go from underneath him. As we see, Jason Callaway, he has moved up a few positions this race, currently in 9th. After losing the position to DeMarco. Got a yellow flag. Battistella still has not moved. I think that might be his race over. There's no movement in the car whatsoever. I think that will be Battistella's race over. And he has gone back to the pits. That is not what you would have wanted, especially seeing as we're not even 20 minutes into the race. Not quite sure what happened though. It was definitely an interesting one. The first time I think I've ever seen a car hit that inside curb and just leave the circuit in such a way. As we are back now with the battle for, I was going to say, P9. With Kellaway under pressure from the Bruckner of the number 9 Audi R8, which is all over the rear end of the Aston Martin. Is he going to go inside? Is he going to go outside? Goes outside to take the regular corner. Bruckner just does not follow through with him. Not try and go up the inside there, I'm sorry. So we're going to head up now to the battle for P2. Vazquez had lost the position at the source, and now down towards the hill it is Honda versus Audi R8. Who is going to come out on top of this one? But you can see Richie also in the background looks to get a better exit because he wasn't in the dirty air of the Audi. Smart move, I'd say, by Vazquez to try and get inside, try and defend it as much as possible. But it looks like Richie has a lot of overlap to take the corner as normal. He does indeed. So that is Richie moved up a position. Very, very good use of not being in dirty air through a Rouge. And now that will mean another Honda, albeit a different driver, is on the back of Petrosini's car. Further back, we see Tony Cogni getting around the inside of Paggy, who does have a spin. Question is for Paggy, will he lose out another position to that green BMW behind of Lunardi? No, he manages just to hold himself ahead for now. And a bit further back, here's Max Oliger chasing down the rear end of Gravson. I think Milani in the front as well in that Porsche. Can't quite see the number. I don't actually think it has one. It does not have one. Interesting. The Oliver, he's looking around. Was he thinking about a move there? I mean, it'll be one of the first times I've ever seen a move as audacious as that. I think he might have been looking for a move there, in fact, but it wasn't to be. You'll have to maybe try and grab the position of Gravson through maybe Campus or down towards Blanchimont and the bus stop chicane. We'll see as we head through Campus. Yep, stays behind for now. I'd say it would probably be a very smart idea to use the draft as much as possible up towards Blanchimont. Maybe not hitting the gravel, but it doesn't look to have cost him all too much. If anything, it could actually help. Just sticking that draft a bit longer to just get a move down the inside at the bus stop chicane and leave the Aston Martin with no choice, but it doesn't look like it's going to pay off for now. It does not indeed. Maybe that gravel hurt a bit more than I expected it would do. Now Oliver will stay behind. Sure, could he possibly look into La Source? It would be late. I don't think that's going to happen. It's not indeed. We're going to jump up a bit further up the grid now. Back to Samuel Brugnara on Kellaway. Was then a second from DeMarco, who himself is a second from Cadiz as well. Oh, for an opening 20 minutes, it's been intense. I would say, I would wager. It's very, very much been intense. A lot of battling, a lot of fighting all the way through. There's another BMW. There's a BMW that's having problems. I think that's the one we saw in Strife earlier on. I'm not 100% sure. Look around. Here is Vazquez down in 5th now after losing out that position to Richie. As we see Nadovic under pressure from, I think that's Patino in the back on the rear wing. There is some damage to the rear wing of that Aston Martin. The pit window is now open for 20 minutes. So the question will be, when will drivers attempt to take their pit stop? That will be the big through the source. Frazgaz will not be happy to have lost position. Looks like Kachakama's in the back as well. I'm not quite sure when that happened. I'm sure he wasn't there earlier on. I'm sure it was a bit further up. Yeah, I could be wrong. We go through Radion. Again, 41 minutes and change left over. Question will be just when will the move for position occur? Luke Rogers now chasing the rear of Svirkov. It is Audi R8 LMS Evo 2 versus Audi R8 LMS Evo 2. That will be entirely down to how these drivers have set their car up, along with their overall skill together for 13th position. Now, I'm sure the last time I commentated ERS races, I'm sure Svirkov was more up the order than he currently is. Sure he was. A few drivers, I'm sure, were further up the order than they were. Is encouraging signs. Diotti, ooh, looked bad. What happened? I think he might have just spun. Not sure either, though. It doesn't look like he's collected any barriers. Now, drivers will have to pit in this 18-minute window. It was 20 minutes, we're 2 minutes through. So the question is, when will drivers attempt to pit? Postol will not be able to react to anything anyone else does. He is the driver out in the lead at current. Question is, when do you pit? See, will he pit this lap? He is. No, he does stay out. What about the Audi? The Audi also stays out. Everyone's staying out now, by the look of it, in this top set of drivers anyway. But there is a driver in the pits. I'm not quite sure who that is. There's a few drivers in the pits. And, well, what's that few? There's a couple in the pits along with the BMW. We see in there. See, I think I'm just looking up and down the order. A few drivers having taken to the pit lane. I'm not sure if for damage or for their pit stops. You can see they are going green, so drivers are in fact taking their pit stop further back. Maybe it is to just get the undercut as possible. Oh, big contact! Patino is gone. So is the BMW as well of Karai. And the Aston Martin too. We're going to see what happened there. We'll jump on board with BMW. You can see up ahead, Patino collects. Oh, I think the BMW just gets hit on the way through. That was a very, very unfortunate collision there. But as you know, two cars cannot fit into gaps where one will go. Further back, we see Oliver making his move around Ravson through Bruxelles. Very, very good move there. But Ravson will look very, very aggressive on the rear bumper of the BMW and will maybe hold it. They have yet to pit. Who knows when they will come out after a pit stop. Will be the big question, because as well you have to think when you make your pit stop will also be when you start the latter half of a race. Again, another quote, I can't remember who says it, a 24-hour race is 23 hours of driving about and a 1 hour sprint at the end. I'm not quite sure how you would attach that into a race of an hour and 5 minutes, but I'm sure you can, because really what you're doing is you're setting yourself up for the best final half of the race as you possibly can off the start. as Oligan defends absolutely stoically against the Aston Martin just to not let him by at the bus stop chicane, and it's worked as well. I think if the plan was to bring Matoli into the mix as well, because it very much has brought Alessandro Matoli into the fray too. We'll see 36 minutes remaining of today's race. A few cars now hitting in, but our front six really that we were watching earlier on have yet to pit, so maybe they're trying to get over each other. Always have to see. Strategy, even in these races, is important. Especially at Spa, you can lose a huge amount of time in the pit lane. He really just going very deep there. Maybe not enough time to react to the corner. Maybe just outbroke himself. Patino, again, the subject of a yellow flag. Gone across the gravel. Not quite sure what's happened there. Maybe just went a bit too quick. We see one of the closest races you'll ever see in the pit lane. It is Karai versus Bogdanovic. I actually want to know who will get out first. I think Karai actually came in a bit later, so I think Bogdanovic is going to get out of the pit lane first. We'll see, but our first front-running driver has come into the pit lane. It's Jeffrey Ritchie for the apparently Red Bull Racing Honda. Sure, Red Bull used to be in used to be in blue cars. You never know nowadays. Luxa right in the fight. Quite a few cars actually. Not quite sure who is part of this battle. There's 4 cars there. We only see 3 with gaps that can actually work in. It's these 3 you can just see in the camera. I believe that Bentley is Clarkson, and then that's Centurino and Muxa, who looks down the inside. Centurino, he's trying it. Muxa open the door. Oh, Clarkson goes round. Muxa gets his way through. Oh, it couldn't have been Clarkson because that's Clarkson. Unless it's 2 Clarksons. There possibly could be. There is 2 Clarksons. I was correct. Hooray! But yeah, it was Miles Clarkson who got himself the bit of the rear end tap to go round. At the minute, our front running drivers have yet to pit. Ritchie being the first, who was in 5th and leave the pit lane. 19th. At current billing. But that definitely is a testament to how long the pit lane is here at Spa. Well, if you get a drive-through penalty here, it is one of the most detrimental ones, because that pit lane is just very long. You have to go all the way down the F1 pit lane, which we have cars in today, then all the way down the old pit lane, and then up the hill. Instead of other series that use the top pit lane, where you just go in up the top and you exit just after the source. Yeah, so just there where the bollards are. Down there, all the way down the main pit lane. Or jump. Or you can just see how slow you get yourself down this pit lane. It is insanely slow. Then have to contest the corner as well. I'm not sure though where you would prefer. would you prefer being in the top pit lane or the bottom? Not quite sure, but we can see a few cars we saw earlier on up fighting for the lead now in the pit lane. Catricala, Brugnara, Petrosini, Kellaway as well. Svirkov picking himself up a drive-through penalty. But here is the question: Jeffrey Ritchie, where will he come back? As he pitted the lap earlier, we will have to see just when and where he will get himself back. And the gears, looking and I'm checking. He came out in 18th. Earlier on, he's already in 17th, so he's passed someone as they've run through. But Catricala and Brugnara, Petrosini have all finished their pit stop. They've all actually come out onto the out onto the track as well. So Ritchie improves up to, I'm going to guess, P8 if he can get past this Porsche, if it is for position, which it was not. So P9 for Ritchie after pitting in P5. There is a few cars further up as well who have yet to pit, who have gained positions off of it, such as DeMarco, Gary and Rogers, Perez and Vies as well. Our race leader has yet to pit and is starting another lap. We are past the halfway point of the race at current 2. So we will definitely see some movement in the positioning as you get yourself through. But an idea of just how long a pit stop is. I'm just looking through. Let's have a look at Ritchie, for example. A 1 minute 50 pit stop with 35 seconds of time in box. So you take that off, you're looking at a minute 25 just to get through the pit lane. Other drivers a minute 47, a minute 46, minute 22 for Rapezzi. So I'm going to just guess that was a drive-through penalty. And you're starting to get a few 2 minutes, a few 150s all the way through as well. So it does just definitely show how long a pit stop is here. Even just a drive-through is insane amounts of time. As we can see, Svirkov got himself a drive-through, dropped all the way down to the, I'm going to say for him, lows of 25th. I mean, for me, if I could get 25th in this field, I would be absolutely over the moon. Even without penalties, I would be absolutely over the moon with it. So it would just definitely be beyond my abilities to get 25th in this field. It is an extremely strong field. So far, Jeffrey Ritchie gaining another position down to 7th, actually number 2 then. Off of Gangas, Flies and Perez. Catricala also will gain some positions to 8th from 10th by those 2 cars that are in the pit lane. Ricciardo, Hadji had a few issues, had a 20-second penalty, I believe it was, which does get taken in the pit stop in Assetto Corsa Competizione. You don't get a choice in the matter. If you have a time penalty, you will take it in the pit stop. However, if you don't pit, after getting that time penalty, it will be converted to a post-race penalty. I believe ACC just does that on the fly, which is good, as our leaders have come into the pit. Sebastian Apostol, Barnabas Vazquez, Dish and everyone as well, which means where will Ritchie come in? He was in 5th, now in 7th. I'm not quite sure where he will come out. We'll keep an eye. However, as you can see, the bright white Honda NSX GT3, now in the real world, manufactured and racing in GT America under the Acura badge. Same car, different badge. It has got to be one of my favourite body styles though in ACC. It does just look very flowing, and that front end does look very mean. And the lights also look good as well. They just blend into the streamline of the car. Now the question will be, where will our X behind cars be? As Gary heads across, he has yet to make his pit stop. Where will Richie come as he is now going down to La Source? Postal will be leaving the pit lane. The question is, will Richie have the speed to make it count? I don't think he will. He will not. He'll gain a couple more positions off of two other cars who are in the pit lane up to 4th. So he's gained a position with the undercut that he performed. However, he lost the position to Fazkaz. Fazkaz earlier on, the Ragioli racing car. So that will mean they've all gained positions. Richie will move up to 3rd place on the road as Gary still has to pit. David Gary, the TF Sport Aston Martin. I mean, currently out of the cars who have pitted, who is, I think, pretty much all of them. Apostol will be running at the race lead once again. Richie will be able to get himself a podium position if he retains. It's down the inside there. A quick switchback from Svirkov. Doesn't quite come off and then taps the Honda on the rear. Coming back onto the track for good measure and then spins himself. I love catching moments like that. As we see Jason Callaway fighting another Aston Martin. Same Aston Martin, same engine, same everything. This is, he does have a V12 Aston Martin. I've only ever seen one person be mad enough to use it. Does sound good though. But yeah, Aston Martin, I think, is just a lot more rounded and quite easy to drive from my time experimenting with it anyway. So the pit window has 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. Gary has pitted from the race lead. So that will mean that everything will order itself back round as Patino has come into the pit lane 2 for Alpine Racing Team for a drive-through penalty. Baldini is also in the pit. Crepesi also has to pit. He's still out on track. This will be his lap to pit. Otherwise he won't be able to. Togni and Raggi, I believe, have also retired from this race. So far they've been in the pits for quite a while, and this is the other Racing G Las Luzone car, the McLaren. At this point I was about to call it a Ferrari. No, it's not. I'm too used to seeing Brugnoa in the Ferrari and my brain's going, huh? Not Brugnoa, sorry, Catricala, and the Ferrari in my brain's just going, I'm smart. Yeah, but there is still quite a lot to gain in the last 23 and a bit minutes of today's race. Samuel Brugnoa getting his way round, I believe that's Baldini, while chasing the back of DeMarco. This will be a close battle. These two have been close on pace together. I mean, if I look at their best laps, Marco was 3 tenths quicker on his best lap, but it hasn't really translated onto the track. So maybe on the best lap he was faster, maybe got a bit of assistance from toe off of another car. But, this is the big but, it hasn't really translated to the consistency, which is what matters. In really any form of race is being consistent. You can slap in one lap that's absolutely knocking out the field, but then you can be, you know, a couple of attempts slower lap after lap after lap, and then that one lap, the advantage you get off of it has more or less disappeared. As we look for the battle for P2, 4 tenths separating the two Hondas from each other. Will be a close one to call. These two have been in a battle before, and after the pit stops they have more or less come together once again. However, it might be smarter, and I don't know how the drivers will think about this. a touchy subject when you speak to drivers about it, is working together, because at the minute they're 4 seconds off the BMW, who you can just see they're up ahead. If you're fighting against each other, you will be slowing yourselves back down for more and more advantage, really, for the car ahead, who you are trying to catch. Keep in mind, all these drivers want to win. Gowrie as well has not managed to finish his pit stop in time, so I believe he will be penalised at the end of the race. Gowrie has a yellow flag out. I think he's just run wide. Svirkov is clawing his way back up the grid. Picked himself up a 10-second penalty as well. Also runs wide on the exit of Stavolo. Right on the rear bumper of Bogdanovic. Now we'll have the chase on the rear. This is where he made the cutback earlier. Tapped the rear end of the Honda, which could have happened again. Really outbrakes himself into the bus stop chicane. That may open him out to Berggren behind. That's not really what you want to see from your drivers. So the race is starting to wind down a bit. As drivers start getting gaps out and trying to just extend their lead over one another. The pit stops also help. Timing them, as I said, to perfection is difficult. Getting the engine start right, getting the pit limiter on off right as well. So many things that you don't really think all too much about have a big effect. I believe ACC does have the assists for auto engine start and stop in pit lane and pit lane speed limiter. However, as from what I have found, they are slower than doing it yourself. Not sure if just a balancing thing or just how the game does it. But they are there, and drivers I think can use them if they want to. I believe different series do it on a case-by-case basis of what they want to allow. As we see Full Gas Esport Team 74 BMW against the 46 McLaren, getting a bit elbows out through Stavolo. But the BMW will sneak his way ahead. One of the Clarksons in the Bentley behind is looking very, very dangerous. We've got a yellow flag. Bergen's off. Not quite sure what's happened there. And now Mattioli will have to defend down the inside. The BMW is there. Clarkson was looking, but he's just not had the overlap to take the inside around the second part. But Mattioli has held his position for now. What good racing that was from them. And that is entirely what you want to see. Another car in the pit lane. I'm not quite sure who that is. Right, it's not Ivano, it's King. And the number 19 Chimera car. Not 100% sure why he is in the pit lane. Possibly damage. As we stay with the Racing G GC M2 communication car. All of the Racing G cars running. I say all of them, I've seen two of them are the same. But pretty much different sponsors on the car, which leads to different designs. The GCM2 car running a striking black, green and silver livery. Does look very good. All of the colours complement each other. Let me see. Gravson. There, no, this is Gravson's. I'm not quite sure who these guys are trying to make their way past. It is an Aston Martin. It's down the inside. bit hectic. It's a number 690 car who is Pickering. But now Clarkson right on the attack. Trying to just get his way through. Pickering is for position on Clarkson. But they will definitely be running close together. Well, he's on the 4th position of the McLaren that's behind as well, I'm sure. Not quite sure. It's down the inside of the bus stop chicane. Clarkson! Oh dear, oh dear. Safety punt. Oh, it's all gone wrong. Oh, the BMW in the background also gets taken out. Now that was just unfortunate. Like, we'll take a look at this. Can we just have an F for the 75 BMW? You can see car's gone and just gets a little bit of a collection there and goes round. That is sad. Fluke times. So Fabio Carrera got caught up in that as well. I believe it's the second time he's been caught up in an incident that could cause pit visiting damage. Oh, you're never too sure, really, until you get maybe a lap or two down. You get the feel out of the car. Feel maybe it's not going as fast in a straight line as you want it to be, or you know, it's not going as well around the corner as you want it to be, or the bodywork's hanging off and it's affecting the aero. Many things in a collision that could affect how quick your car's going to go round. As you see, Loris Galio, Vigila, Larice chasing the rear end of Lunaridi. I'm half Italian, I should be able to do these names. But it is Ferrari on BMW to gap 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 5 tenths. As I was reading it, it kept going up. But it's going to be an interesting question. Who will have the straight line speed on the straight? My brain would say Ferrari, but I know the grunt of the BMW does exist. It will all depend as well on aero setup. Keep in mind, the more wing angle, the more downforce, but it will slow you down a bit more. Think of holding your hand flat and then tilting it downwards. And just thinking, now you hold that against a fan. It's such a fun little experiment. Hold it against a fan, like in the air. Just start tilting your entire hand downwards from your wrist, and you'll be able to obviously feel more air hitting the flat of your hand instead of flowing over. That's how I was taught years ago of how aerodynamics worked. Looks in the other direction as well. So here is your race leader on the back of the 26. I'm going to guess that's Baldini. It is. I am learning who is him. And gets himself maybe an extra car between himself and another. Baldini, though, holding the line, which is entitled to do. Doesn't make it easy. He went to the inside, which would have helped Sebastian get his way round, but definitely not ideal to have GT3 cars trying to lap each other, because they are pretty closely matched on speed. Brignara losing out of position to both Wise and Petrosini. On the rear end of Wise for the Butterpower Motorsport Lamborghini, this one. See, that Audi is hunting down the rear end to get back into the top 10. That Audi was far up earlier on in the race, down into the bus stop chicane. You can see how close they're getting off of the rear wing. But Johannes Weiss holds the position for the end of this lap. Maybe could be under pressure into Lecombe. And it doesn't look like there's any moves down into La Source, which is good, very good. It can work, but you definitely need to state your intention early, both for the driver ahead, but also for the fact that you're then able to react to anything that happens. Maybe if he takes it tighter and your car doesn't quite want to do it. Now we'll see Audi versus Lamborghini in a straight line. I know who I'd put my money on, but the question is there going to be enough overlap before the corner? No, there is not, so they will do side by side. Bit of a tap. Or Petrosini has to go around across. And he does indeed manage to get the position out of it, which is good. I'd say it's good for him. Not sure how Johannes behind will be reacting to it. He might be mad, or he might be like, okay, sure. Gave him a bit of a door bang. Maybe there might not have been enough room there for me. And this battle is still going on. Lloris against Lunardi. BMW versus Ferrari. It's in the same order in which we left it earlier on. The question is, they are as close as they have been so far since I've been keeping my eyes on this battle. Late move down the inside there. Doesn't quite make the corner. Has to concede it back. That would have been an absolutely insane move if it would have stuck. Wow. The door was open and he went for the open door. But just ran for it a bit too quick. Tripped over the bit at the bottom of the stairs and fell over. A bit further back, Lucas Firkov still on the rear end of Mateusz Bogdanovic. Who himself is right on the rear end of Clarkson, M. Clarkson. This one, the number 108 Bentley. We have another Clarkson and another Bentley as well, who I've been getting mixed up for the entirety of the race. I do apologize. We'll see, will the Aston Martin be able to find his way around through the double gorge? Clarkson has to go inside defensive, which could open him out to losing a good run down the straight towards Lafange. He's not lost out at all. The Porsche is also there. Well, which is not full position. He's just the Porsche that's there this time round. And Clarkson looks to get the worst exit. Gives a bit of a squeeze into Campus and then Stavolo. And all the while, Svirkov's probably with a little bit of a smirk on his face going, the more they battle, the better for me it's going to be. Almost close the rear end of the Aston Martin through Stavolo. And now they'll run side by side down towards Longchamp and the bus stop chicane. The Aston Martin gets cleared. Now the question is, will the Bentley get cleared before the chicane, or will it be a move down the inside of the chicane? Svirkov goes to the outside. Is he going to make the chicane this time round? No. Yes-ish. A bit of an angry flash there from the Aston Martin. Maybe thought that Svirkov came on a bit too aggressively and had to take avoiding action. Not quite sure. I didn't quite see the angle in which they were at. But it's definitely a possibility that could have happened there, as we're back now with a battle for P10. Still in the order of Johannes Weiss and Matteo Petrosini. We'll see as down the straight we go. The definite question, though, will be, does that Audi R8 have the straight line speed? It definitely looks like it does. It looks absolutely monstrous in a straight line. Now, where's he going to go? Is he going to go to the inside of the chicane? He is indeed down the inside. Will he be able to defend the outside portion of the chicane through the second corner? He will indeed. Very, very good chicane-based move there to put himself a lap up. Oh, a lap up, sorry. A position up, not a lap up. Over the Lamborghini behind. That was a move that has been brewing for a few laps, as we are now very much into the final 10 minutes of the race. Just under 8 minutes to go. There's still so much happening. Marcus Bergen had a bit of a turbulent race, a few collisions here and there, a few little off tracks and yellow flags as well, I believe. And now having a look up the grid a bit further, there's a battle for P6 between Kellaway and DeMarco. We'll see the BMW versus the Aston Martin, both front engine rear wheel drive. The definite question is going to be, where is each stronger? That will be the question. We will keep our eyes open and keep them peeled onto the screen. Lead down the brakes into the flange. Gap half a second. It was 2/10 earlier on, so it looks like Callaway has managed to extend his gap just by a little bit. Over the 39 NCR Esports by MSI Gaming car, piloted by Davide DeMarco. In MSI colours as well. It definitely is a nice striking livery. I know I'm talking about liveries quite a bit, but you do have to appreciate them. A lot of work does go into liveries and a lot of time and a lot of artistic vision, and we do see some very, very nice paint schemes on cars. Yeah, cars themselves can become art pieces very quickly. I should know, I've made a couple of liveries, and a lot of the time they do become my desktop wallpaper for quite a long while. We'll see further back. We're going to get to this battle. Lucas Firkov still chasing down Clarkson, and Gowrie is also there. So Clarkson's fighting for good position, and so too is Firkov, and so too is Bogdanovich as well. He will be looking. He tries down the inside at the double gauche. Ooh. That was definitely very close. That could have ended in tears. It is a 4-car battle for 21st. Really though, Gowrie isn't that high up, as he will be obtaining a post-race penalty for not pitting within the pit window. I believe it's classed as a yes, you've completed in the pit window. After it drops the car and finishes the pit lane, Svirkov hit the gravel on the outside. I could just hear it, which will open him up to the Aston Martin in a straight line, but the Audi has very, very, very strong acceleration. Just about keep his nose ahead. But it definitely hurts chances down into the bus stop chicane this time around. Will he make the bus stop chicane? Braking zone! Yes, he will! Maybe not in a position to overtake Clarkson through getting the cut back. No, it does look like there was a better exit out for the run down to the source. Across the line, switches to the inside to try and make that move on Clarkson. On the brakes, Clarkson goes wide, lets the move happen. Now maybe has actually looked to gain the ultra run down the hill. As Guiglilo goes across to take a drive-through penalty. Up the hill we go. Once again, Svirkov has definitely been climbing his way up since the drive-through penalty earlier on in the race. And further back, you can see Clarkson under pressure from Bogdanovich. Just holds a position through the complex of Ekon Almadi. That is very, very good defensive driving there from Clarkson to hold the position. We'll definitely see if that Aston Martin can make his move, make his mark, climb up to 22nd. If Svirkov doesn't make a gap, he will also be dropping down right away. But speaking of Svirkov, he is going to be right on the rear end of Gowrie. On the brakes, again for the fans. 1, maybe 2 laps left of the race, all depending on where our leader is. There will definitely be a tight few laps for this pack of cars. Gowrie though will, as I said earlier, be obtaining himself a penalty, which isn't great, but what happens, as I was saying earlier, I don't know if it classes the pit stop being done as when you hit the pit lane, when you exit the pit lane, or when you drop the car. From the look of it when I was watching tower earlier on. It's when they dropped the car after the pit stop. Got to time that well as Svirkov was looking all over the track just to try and find a door to walk his way through, but there was no door there at all. He'll now be under pressure from Clarkson again, but will defend the inside. Clarkson, though, switches his way back to the inside of the track. Is there going to be the room there for the move down into the source? No, there's not. I do appreciate the attempt, but that might have actually given Bogdanovic his opportunity. Will they run side by side into a rouge? No, not quite. But Clarkson kept it to the outside. Probably a good idea just not to upset the car before going into the big compression. He does retain the position for now. 1 minute and 25 seconds left of today's race. And this will be the final lap, as well as here is your race leader, Sebastian Apostel. He has definitely been an absolute force today as Svirkov's got himself round Gowrie as well. But let us actually talk about this performance from Sebastian. You can see Fazkaz behind, who had a bit of a turbulent start to the race. BMW here, the number 12 car, has just kept it clean, consistent, and, you know, overall safe. And it's definitely shown the rewards. I can't see really a mark on that car of damage whatsoever. It's a testament to just how well he has been driving. And with a few corners left of the circuit and one long straight, anything could go wrong. I'm not even trying to commentate as curse him. I am literally just saying that I've had times where I've made a mistake, or I've had a collision, or something unexpected has happened in the final few corners, and it's cost a win, it's cost podiums. It's never fun. It's one of those things that always plays, at least for me, in the back of my mind. I'm not sure about everyone else, but I'm sure there's a couple of people out there who will share that sentiment with me. But as we come down through Blanchimont, then to the bus stop chicane for the final time of the leader of this race, through to the bus stop chicane. Keep in mind that the start finish line just through here is where we ended the race at Spa, and across the line to take the victory is the number 12 car of Sebastian Apostel, followed by Fazkaz in second, and then Jeffrey Ritchie. Very good climb there to come through and take third, and further back David DeMarco will have to look for a last-ditch attempt, but Baldini is there, might scupper the plans. Baldini has stopped DeMarco from getting his way through. Across the line comes Callaway in 6th, and DeMarco in 7th. I think if Baldini wasn't there, DeMarco would have been able to poke the nose up the inside at the final point of the corner, get his way through, but it just was not to be. Now seeing a few more cars fighting their way through. Gravson on the combat of Lenardi, who's also under pressure, and Mazzoli as well. Both of them get their way through. I think maybe that BMW might be running out of fuel. It was very, very slow through that section of track. It's definitely a possibility. It does look like it's picked up the speed again. The 375 All Gas Esports team looking all over the rear bumper. I'm not quite sure what happened through the double gorge. He did seem to lose a lot of speed. But it's again going to be one of those opportunities where it will be a final move down the inside out of the bus stop chicane. But McLaren gets well placed to not allow it to happen. So that will mean really will come across the line. Very good position there. 15th, so too will Gravson. 14th, which will mean Lenardi will come through to 16th, and then 17th is Karai. Birkov now all on his own really about the place. Currently 18th, but I think he will drop down to either 20th or 21st. Depending on where the 10-second mark lies. Across the line comes Svirkov. He'll definitely drop down below Clarkson. Clarkson will come across the line. Will get himself up. 4.8 seconds. Bogdanovich is impaled. I don't quite know what has occurred here, but your race results, taking the victory, 28 laps in an hour and 5 minutes, was Apostle in the number 12 BMW, followed by Fazkaz, Ritchie, Patricala, Police, Callaway, DeMarco, Brugnara, Petrosini, Weiss, Rogers, Paggi, Oliger, Gravson, Patoli, Lenardi, Garay, Clarkson, M. Clarkson, Sverkov, Gowry, Bogdanovich, Gormand, Golano, Pennington, Bergeron, Magmi, Diodati, Perez, G. Clarkson, Brugnara, Centurino, Vassarani, Pickering, Crepesi, Correa, Bonelli, and Baldini, and then the rest of the cars were not classified at the end of the race, but what a race that was. Spa always gives that just insanely entertaining racing. I'm sure a lot of people viewing and a lot of the drivers, I said especially the drivers at the end, will be sat there like, whoa, happy that's over. It is tiring. And the next round for the ERS Championship is in a week at Imola for another, I'm going to say, close race. That is November 2nd at 8 p.m. CEST start time. And then on November 9th, round 3, at the same time, it will be EL Army. However, from myself and everyone at the European Racing Series, thank you very much for watching the stream. Next week, it will be back to the regular caster. I've been standing in, so from myself, a big thank you for the drivers for making my evening very entertaining, and for everyone at home for watching. Very good rest of the night, and goodbye.